Great to see you guys here tonight. We're so glad that you are here. Tonight we are going to talk in your lesson for tonight. We're going to talk about relapse. We're going to talk about relapse tonight. If you're taking notes in the COH app, you can follow along there for lesson notes there, and make sure you tag along with that. We're going to start by reading the principle for tonight and the step for tonight. We're a 12-step program, like Leah said, and we also have the 8 principles of Celebrate Recovery that correlate with those. Here's principle 7. It says that part of this, and part of working a program, is to reserve a daily time with God for self-examination, Bible reading, and prayer in order to know God and His will for my life and to gain the power to follow His will. We don't just do daily time with God because it's a religious thing to do, and we should. We do it because we need a power greater than ourselves to live on. Who's with me? Come on, yeah, exactly. All right, in step 11, which correlates with principle 7, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and power to carry that out. There's that power again. So tonight we're going to talk about relapse, but here's where I want to start first. How do you know the holidays are coming? How do you know the holidays are coming? Now, for responsible adults, you know because you own a calendar and you know what day it is. How many of you don't know what day it is right now? Okay, a couple of us. My people. Like, I think it's Monday. What's the number? I know it's at 20. Sometimes I don't know these things. So some people just know, have a good sense of time, and other people, everything sneaks up on them. Is there anybody else here who has the holidays sneak up on you every single year of your life? Yeah, okay, great. The peanut gallery's in the front here. People know the holidays are coming based off of different things. Some people know because of what they go see in the store. I said to everybody yesterday in church on Sunday morning, I was in a Dollar General in the middle of Central Florida this weekend, buying some candy, making some poor late night decisions with my son about our diet. It was awesome, yes. And I saw next to a Frankenstein and a ghost and death itself for Halloween decorations was Santa Claus. I'm like, oh, the holidays are coming. You know how else I know the holidays are coming? For a long time, when I was a kid, there was one catalog that came in the mail every year, the Sears catalog, and then that went away and the world became a sadder place. And everything went digital, went online. But then some people got smart and Amazon and Target started sending Christmas catalogs, actual paper catalogs. Can you believe it? And they actually started sending these. And I talked to one dad here tonight, and he said, yes, I get those in the mail and I make sure they don't enter my house. Well, outwardly, I'm turning 42, but inwardly, I'm always 11 years old. So I love when the toy catalog comes. This is, for me, is a sign that the holidays are coming. In fact, I did a little bit of math, and just for some of your own dread, it is 38 days till Thanksgiving, and it is only 66 days till Christmas. Ooh, right? Now, here is your sign. The holidays are coming. Am I telling you that so you know to start shopping? No. I mean, if you want to, you can, I guess. I'm saying this to you because if you're practicing recovery, the holidays are notorious for being hard for your recovery. They're notorious for it. Most people, when they relapse during the holidays. They do. During the holidays, it's easy to slip back into our old hurts and habits and hang-ups. The alcoholic goes back to drinking. The overeater gains back the weight. The gambler goes back to lost wages, otherwise known as Las Vegas. The workaholic fills up his or her schedule. The codependent goes back to an unhealthy relationship. The list goes on and on and on. The holidays are coming. The holidays are coming. So the point of what I'm saying to you is that you do not need to start, like, say, Christmas shopping, but what you absolutely do need, for sure, starting tonight, is a relapse prevention program. For sure. You need to prepare yourself now, not December 22nd, now, to get yourself ready for this time of year when, generally speaking, keeping and guarding your sobriety and your recovery and your serenity gets extra hard. And so that's a lot of what we're talking about tonight. We have one Bible verse I want to share with everyone tonight. This comes from Jesus. And he says here in Mark chapter 14, this is on the night when Jesus was betrayed. Ironically, in the Jewish time of year, this was on the night of a Passover. So this is a high holy day, holiday for the Jewish people. And this is right when the most intense night of Jesus' life, where if he was going to mess up, if he was not going to fulfill his mission as the Son of God, he was going to mess it up this night. Thank God he didn't. Well, this is what he said to some of his friends that night, because he knew what they were about to endure and the hardship and the testing they were about to go through, like many of us might be about to go through. And he says this here, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Is there anybody here who has a willing spirit, but you have weakness baked into you? Yeah. So check this out. Let's just look at this just for a moment. Jesus saying, watch and pray. Now, people would expect that Jesus would say these things. Jesus is, of course, going to say, watch and pray. Watch and pray. That sounds very religious. But he says, so that. Everyone say, so that. So this is a means to an end. People, when they come around churchy environments and religious environments like this, they think the end in and of itself is to just do the religious things. No, they're a means to an end. They're a means to an end. So watching and praying so that you will not fall into temptation. Notice Jesus says that not so that you will not be tempted. That's not what Jesus says. Because, hear me loud and clear, it's not a sin to be tempted. It's not a sin to have a craving. It's not a sin to have an opportunity present itself to you to relapse. That's not a sin. In fact, those things are going to come your way. What Jesus is trying to do is so that people will not fall into those temptations. Do you see the difference? Great. Watch and pray so that you won't fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh, the baked in part of my human nature, is that I am broken and weak, and I'm more broken and weaker than I'm actually in touch with. In fact, that's the whole basis for all of recovery, isn't it? It's how in touch are you with your own powerlessness. And the more in touch you are with your weakness, the more space you have for God in your life. So watch and pray so that you will have the power to not fall into temptation. It's not your power, but it's God's power. So here's what we're going to do for a relapse prevention program. We're using an acrostic for the word relapse. And as we're doing this, I want you to take notes for this. And I'm going to give you a specific example for something to do with each one of these things. You don't need to do every single one for the letters in here, but I want you to pick at least one that you know you need to do as a daily practice as part of your getting ready for the season that we're heading into. So with our acrostic, we're going to start with what you have to do is you have to reserve a daily quiet time. Now, if you're new to faith, to church, like, what is a quiet time? Is that like a timeout, like a little kid? No, a quiet time is just like what we say in Principle 7 to Step 11, that we reserve a daily time for prayer and meditation. We're going to talk about that. Or you reserve a daily time for Bible reading, prayer, and discussion with God. So it's giving a space and a period of time that you're going to dedicate to just you and God alone. Now, notice it doesn't say, hey, shoot for one of these. Aspire to do one of these. What does it say? Reserve. I went on a trip this weekend, like I was saying, with my son. And wouldn't it be weird if I showed up to the VRBO that he and I rented and just said, I'm here for the cabin. And then, well, did you reserve a time? I went, no, I just aspired to it. It doesn't work like that. You have to reserve this daily time with God. I'm not saying you have to be super type A and you have to literally put it in your calendar. Some of you, that might not be the worst idea in the world to do that. But you definitely need to make space for it and intentionally set aside time, reserve quiet time with God. You absolutely need to do that. It's not enough to, let me say it like this. Most people I know, some people are night people, and they do this best at night. Most people I know, it's best to do this in the morning, even if you're not a morning person. Now, you need to do it at some point during your day. I just know when I wake up, I'm empty and I need God for the rest of my day. I need him at the end of the day and I need him at the beginning of the day. Does that make sense? Okay. For some of you, what this looks like is getting up a half hour earlier than you normally do. Like, oh man, but I don't know if I could do that. I'll be really tired. I totally get that. So go to bed half hour earlier. Because there's nothing on TV or YouTube or Netflix that's actually going to change your life late at night. And going to bed half hour earlier, I'm preaching to myself too. Oof. Going to bed half an hour earlier so you can get up half an hour earlier. Would you rather stream your life away late at night? Or would you rather wake up 30 minutes earlier and have a conversation with the living God of love, the ruler of the universe, who has the power to restore you to sanity? Here's a quote from the big book. It says this here. It's easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed into trouble if we do, for alcohol or put in whatever hurt habit or hang-up that you have is a subtle flow. We are not, it was a subtle, I think it should say foe. Typo, got it. I have a master's degree. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So why do you reserve a daily time with God? Why go to church once a week? Do you eat once a week? I heard somebody say this in one of the rooms a couple weeks ago. Rent's due every day for my recovery. Every day. Rent's due, and I got to pay. And the way you do it is by getting time daily. Reserve a daily time with God. Okay, let's keep going on our cross stick. So that's R-E, evaluate. You need to evaluate every day, how are you doing? You need to evaluate your mental health, your emotional health, your relational health. It's not just me and God in the universe. No, if it's just you and God in the universe, but you're a jerk to your spouse or your significant other or your kids or your coworkers, that's a problem. How am I doing mentally, emotionally, relationally, and spiritually? I want to give you a tool for tonight. It's called heart check. Everyone say heart check. Here's how you evaluate all those things. Use this acrostic for heart. You need to ask yourself, am I hurting about anything? Am I exhausted? Am I angry? Am I resentful? And am I tense? Trevor, you fine? I'm fine. Are you tense? So you got to do a heart check. And if you answer yes to any one of these, that's your signal to work your tools that you're learning in your program, in your recovery. This is how you evaluate yourself. You got to do this every day to prevent a relapse. Because if you begin to notice these things, you'll pick up on your triggers that will lead you or tempt you into relapse, and you'll catch them here first. Oh, this is my trigger to isolate. Oh, this is my trigger to use. Oh, this is my trigger to drink. Oh, this is my trigger to view or to look up things I shouldn't. And you'll catch it because you're giving a heart check. So that's evaluate. Okay, let's keep going. You need to listen to Jesus. That sounds super churchy, but here's what I mean by that. A lot of people go and they try to have daily time with God, and they just stream of consciousness, circle breathe on God, and then they don't give him any space to say anything back, say, thanks God for listening, see you later. And he says, wait, I might have an opinion to share with you about your situations you're navigating. You actually need to take time to listen to Jesus, because prayer is not talking to God. Prayer is talking, listen, it's talking with God. With God. So consider this. As you're doing some of these other things, maybe consider in your daily time that you have with God, start with a timer for 3 minutes on your phone and just say nothing. But have a pen to paper on your journal and tell Jesus, you could say anything you want to me. I'm listening. And for some of you, he just might say, hey, I really love you. And for some of you, he might say, hey, don't call that person. For some of you, he might say, hey, avoid that part of town. Who knows what he might say? But you need to listen. So make sure you do that. You need to be alone And like I said, alone and have quiet time. So it's reserve a daily quiet time with God, but it's alone and find space to be quiet. You want to have alone and quiet time. Step 11 says we take time for prayer and meditation. This is what it means about quiet, to be alone. Quiet. Some of you love to have worship music playing. That's a great thing, but you need to bring that down. Jesus wants time with you, not Jesus Brandon Lake in you. Okay, and Brandon Lake's awesome. He's awesome, but Jesus just wants you and him in the quiet. When it says a time of meditation, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to sit there and go, and empty your mind. Meditation means to think about something and mull it over. If you know how to worry, how many of you know how to worry? If you know how to worry, you know how to meditate. Because worry is you meditating on the thing you're afraid of. But meditating in a time of prayer with Jesus is a time of quiet where you're thinking over, mulling over some scriptures you're reading, some of the things he's saying to you, truths that you're learning about him, about you, and about the world. So be alone and get quiet. You want to do that. You want to plug into God's power. And the way that you do that is through, like we said, if you pray and you're there to receive power and grace to do the things that you need to do, power to live differently, it's really going to help you. My wife has a plug for her phone. It's a special charger. I think I gave it to you for Christmas one year. And I didn't realize it, but it was one of those things that charges your phone 33% faster than normal plugs. Anybody has one of those things? They're awesome. If you don't have them, it's a great stocking stuffer. It will charge her phone hours faster than it will charge my phone if it was just on my charger alone. This is what it's like to go spend time with God. God will refill you faster with his power and replenish you than other things you would do for your own self-care and sanity. God will refill you in ways that other relaxing or replenishing things that you might do would offer. Not all of those things are bad, but you should plug into the type of power that will fill you with what you need first. Does that make sense? So what are some of the things that you do to restore your sanity, serenity, and to fuel your recovery? And is time with God first on that list? Because if you do that, Jesus says, seek the kingdom of God first, and all these things will be added to you as well. Something to think about. I'm going to go through, this is simple here. You want to slow down? Do you guys know the native language of God? It's a whisper. It's a whisper. And whispers are notoriously hard to hear and easy to miss. So you need to slow down. Because God might be speaking to you, but you just might be speeding by. You want to slow down. And if you do all these things, you'll get to do this. You'll get to enjoy your growth. So when you get to Thanksgiving, in what did I say, 33 days? When you get to Thanksgiving, one of the things you can be grateful for is how far God's brought you in your recovery. You can enjoy your growth, celebrate those things. All right, so here's our tool for tonight. Do your heart check. Do your heart check. With that slide that we had, where am I hurting, exhausted, angry, resentful, or tense at any point? Check your heart. Have a relapse prevention program. And here's our questions for small group that we want to lift up to you. And I want you to think about while we're worshiping here in a second. Have you identified relapse triggers for you? And if so, what are they? And what is one victory in my recovery this week that I can celebrate?